Now we will add a little bit of Velcro in where we're going to put the motor mount. If you're going to fly with Brooklyn Aerodrome or just be consistent with the rest of the world, the hook side of the Velcro is what goes on the deck, and it just goes up here at the front. The loop side is the soft, fuzzier. The hook side is a little rougher and nappier. And then we have a place to put the batteries. All right, and they'll just sort of stick on and when we fly. All right, so now we're going to attach a servo to the deck, and we have a very robust, strong technique where what we do is we take, I like to sort of align it with the edge of the prop hole right here. It's not that crucial where you put it. Sometimes I'll put it out more, but I like that little junction to have the corner of the servo there. So a good idea to have the wire of the servo going to the front, which means that the head for the servo arm will be there. The servo arm is not attached here. It can be attached, but I'm just working with it how it comes out of the box. All right, so you sort of hold it in place like this and put your finger on it, and then you're just going to put some holes in this. Attaching, we're going to use zip ties to hold this on. So just put a hole right up in that corner there, and another one right here, and we're just going to crisscross the entire servo. So that's one, that's two, and then under the flange, not on this side, but this side, we have put another pair of holes. Okay, and so we just sort of have 4 holes that look like that, and the servo will fit in them like that, and we're going to put zip ties and just hold the whole thing down with that. So I'm going to go with long zip ties just because I have them. That's faster. But again, we can use the same trick we did here. If you don't have long zip ties, you just double them up. So I like to have the top of the zip tie away from the control surface as much as possible. So I tend to put it through so that this blocky bit, the zippy bit, is on this side. And I'll put this over. These holes keep closing up on me. There we go. On the other. Okay. So it comes around. In fact, I'll just take the servo out. It's no distraction right now. And then I'll put the other one like this. All right, make that hole a little bigger. Like that. Nestle Mr. Servo in there. Like this. Zip tied on. Doesn't have to be at the edge, just you don't necessarily want a bunch of stuff here. It's not the end of the world if it is, but it can kind of interfere sometimes. You may end up having to re-zip tie. Okay. Alright, there you have it. So that is a very solidly mounted servo now, in very little time. So we just trim those down, and we do the same thing on the other side. So we have attached the other servo, and we now have both of the leads going forward, the servo arms going out to the side around the edges of the cutout. The motor is attached, and we're going to now attach the speed controller to the receiver and the motor, and we're going to attach a battery pack. Something to note is that we're using Brooklyn Aerodrome connectors here. We use a different connector than what we sent out because we want to try to minimize the complexity of the build, so you may find yourself with a different connector for the connection from the battery to the motor. Alright, so we're going to hook these up. It doesn't really matter the order because we will decide what the direction of the spinning of the motor is later, and to change the direction of spin you just swap any 2 of these leads. Then we will now find ourselves a receiver, and this is the receiver that comes with the Hobby King gear. This is very important. It's a binding plug. I'll show you how to use that in a second. And we're just going to connect our speed controller, this with channel 3 on this receiver. So it's marked down here, And the brown wire is going to go towards this edge here. This is ground. The grounds, they share a common ground along this edge. So brown is ground, red is hot, and yellow in this case is signal. Other servos have black as ground. Red will remain signal, and red will remain hot, and white will be the signal in that case. These are the two major color schemes that you see. All right, so this will go into channel 3. That slot, be gentle, get it in there, make sure it's seated pretty well. Brown, it's down to there. We're going to take this servo. Your right servo will go in, this is from the pilot's direction, so when we say right and left on this airplane, it's pilot's view, so we're flying this direction. So the rightmost servo will go into channel 1. Everyone needs to adhere to this convention for the programming in your radio to work properly. So that will go into channel 1. It can be a little hard to get in there, but just be patient. You might have to get in there and bend a pin if they've gotten a little bit janky. But there we go. Okay. So don't muscle things too much, just get it in. And then the left servo will go into channel 2, black down again. And do that, it's a little tight. But and just sort of seat it firmly. Okay, so now we have our servos connected. And we will now bind this receiver to this transmitter. So this is the Hobby King transmitter, and the binding process goes as follows. You take your binding plug, which basically shorts the signal with the ground plane. We're going to insert it in the battery slot here. It says BAT on it. And then we will apply power to the speed controller from a battery pack that's charged. All right. And we hook them up, and you'll hear the servos activate. Doink. All right. So, and we have a speed controller that's now making noises because it's expecting some signal and it's not getting it. All right. Notice we haven't put the prop on, so if this motor spins, we're not going to hurt anybody. Don't let it spin really fast without a prop on it, though. If it starts spinning, it disconnect immediately. The throttle is down on this. We always want to turn our radios on when the throttle is down, not up. There's one exception to that we'll talk about later. You press, in this case, the transmitter is off, the receiver is on, the binding plug is in. We press a button here, and then we turn it on, and wait a few seconds. In this receiver, you can see that there's a little LED that will be blinking when you put in the bind plug and turn it on, and it becomes solid when it's bound to the transmitter. Then what we do is we have a bind now. We're going to unplug this with everything still powered up. We unplug the power, and then we plug it back in, and there we go. That sounds like a happier airplane. So put your fingers on the servo pots, and you can see they move in coordination with these control inputs. Now this speed controller has a detail, which is that it likes to be programmed, and if it makes that kind of noise and is not cooperating, what you want to do, which is a rapid beep, is you actually start it with the transmitter in full throttle. It will then go and make a double beep, I believe, and then you take it down, and then it's done, and then you can run the motor. And you see right now I'm running the motor just a little bit. I'm not going to run it really hard. I'm just seeing if it's turning, and I have a functioning radio here. So what we've done is we've bound this receiver to this radio. We have a motor that's working. It's also turning the right way. We want the propeller to move in a counterclockwise fashion facing the front, and I can just feel with my finger that it's going counterclockwise. All right? Be careful when you do this, but we can check it. If it was going the wrong direction, what I would do is unplug 2 of these and just reverse them, and then we would have it working. It would spin the other direction. That's how you change the direction of spin with a brushless motor. All right, now we're going to unplug and attach all this nicely functioning radio gear to the deck. All right, one of the things that's going to happen when you fly this airplane, you're probably going to crash it a lot. So in attaching this equipment to it, we're going to have room for the battery pack here. The speed controller is here, and we're going to attach it very robustly so it doesn't fly off. And the best way to do that, we found, is we're going to do more zip tie tricks. And just put a zip tie there. And then up front, I like to kind of cross it up just a little bit. And you're going to want a long one for this, or a bunch of little ones. And push it through, and come through the other side. Where you put it is not very important. You just want it kind of be neat and out of the way. You don't want it to interfere with the battery. These components are not heavy enough to really affect the CG tremendously. This is kind of a standard setup. It's just the length of these cables, and you kind of all want it to work out and be kind of neat. Oops, I went a little too far on that one. We insert this zip tie. And that's all we're going to need there. That is not going to go anywhere. We could put another one across. If you really are a beginner and you think you're going to crash a bunch, you might as well just go ahead and put another one here just to make everything super secure. We really don't want components flying off. The airplanes can crash pretty hard. The components are very robust as long as you keep them out of the propeller. Alright, that's a well-attached speed control. It's not going to go anywhere.